Topic for today is, can we see God? And the masters say that God has manifested and become creation. So in that way, we are really seeing God all the time, everywhere, all around us. But we know this fact intellectually, but since we have not realized it and felt it in our hearts, we really don't see that spark of divinity and that spark of light in everything in creation, which these masters, the self-realized saints, they can see that spark and that divinity in creation, in everything. So for us, really, seeing God is really visualizing God as a magnetic, as a larger-than-life form, or seeing God in a vision as blazing, sparkling light. And only when we see God in that way, we really feel that, oh, we have seen God, and though many of us do have such visions of light, and when we meditate, that is really our yearning to get an experience of God, to get to see God. And that was also the yearning in the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjun one time says to Krishna that, let me reveal yourself, your infinite self to me, and let me see you, what you really are. And Krishna does come. He does reveal his infinite self to Arjun. And I would like to read these words, what the dialogue between them. So Arjun says, O Master, Lord of Yogis, if you deem me fit, reveal to me your infinite self. And Krishna says, you cannot behold me with mortal eyes, however. Now therefore, I give you divine sight. Behold my supreme yoga power. And yes, God has given each of us, and Arjun really represents the devotee that we, each one of us are, and God has given us that divine sight, and that divine sight is our spiritual eye, where we can see God, where we can experience Him. And Paramhansa Yogananda always encouraged, always told his disciples to keep the awareness at the spiritual eye, no matter what you're doing in life. Whatever you may be doing, keeping your awareness here, and from this point, doing whatever we are doing. Why? So that we are always attuned to divine consciousness, because this attunement is actually going to help us experience and see God one day. And I would also like to read what in the later part, Krishna says, like, how can we really see God? What do we need in us so that we can see God? And Krishna says, its revelation, however, is not attained by penances, or by faithfulness to scriptures, or by charities, or by formal worship. O scorcher of foes, Arjuna, only by single-hearted devotion, achieved through deep yoga practice, is it possible to behold me and to become one with me as you have done in my cosmic form. So really God reveals here to us how we can also see God. And He says very clearly that these rituals that we do, the charities that we do, the scriptures that we study, none of this is going to enable us to really see God in that way, except that in deep meditation by yogic practices and deep meditation, such as the meditation, we are going to behold Him, we're going to see His vision and see God in our spiritual eye, and also with a lot of longingness and devotion. And really, if you see all of us who are here, we are really blessed, because these masters have given us already these yogic techniques, that Kriya Yoga, Hong Sau, whatever we are learning here are these yogic techniques which Krishna is talking about. And we are also given techniques and tools how to develop that devotion, how to develop that one-pointed love for God. So we really have everything that we need to see God. Also, there was a story which Swamiji had written in one of the biographies that he's written for Yogananda ji, and in that there is a story that once Paramhansa Yogananda and his friends are together, and this friend is saying, "Oh, if we sit, this tonight only, you think we keep calling God with all our heart and yearning? You think we'll be able to see God?" And Yogananda ji says, "Of course, we will be able to see God." And so they sit. But yeah, he said one thing. He says that God will not come down to our level. We have to lift ourselves up to his level to be able to see him. And then they sit. They've started meditating. They started actually chanting. First they chant for a long time. Then they do Kriya Yoga. Then they do Hong Saw. And then they're sitting in silence, calling upon Krishna. And here also, they say that however we intend to see God, God will come to us in that form. And here Yogananda and his friends are yearning to see God as Krishna and calling upon him again and again. And hours pass, the night is passing, and Krishna is not coming. And now this friend is getting a little impatient, and he feels, oh my God, he's not going to come. He's gradually losing hope. And so he got up and he says, I don't think Krishna will come. Let's just go. And Yogananda ji is like, no, he will come. And he's like still at it. And he says, even if I die trying, I will keep calling him until he comes. And he just keeps at it. And as he meditates further, Krishna does come. He does reveal himself, and Yogananda ji sees Krishna, walking on the clouds of gold and all that. And then he tells his friend, oh, I can see Krishna. And this friend is like, no, you are imagining. And then to give also him that experience, he touches him at the heart, and the friend can also see Krishna. So really these avatars actually, Yogananda ji was already one with God. He was already merged in God. But these incidences that that happens in their life, it is for us to reflect on that. What did he do? How did he get that vision? What did he do? He practiced yoga techniques. He practiced Kriya Yoga. He practiced Hong Saw. He chanted a lot to open the heart, to awaken that love, that single-pointed devotion to God. And one more thing he did, and that was he did not give up. A lot of times, we see that when we are new in the path, we meditate for some time, and then when we don't get an experience really, we feel that, oh, meditation is not for me. It doesn't work for me. But meditation is for everyone. The soul loves to meditate is what Yogananda ji says, but we have to just keep at it. And these incidences tell us that if we really are persistent, and if we are really yearning, and if we really only want God and not his other gifts, then God will come. He will come and we will be able to see him. Jesus Christ says that blessed are the pure in hearts, for they will see God. And what is this purity of heart that he means? The purity of heart is that when we can only love God and when there is no other desire except for God, even if there is one more desire, then our heart is not pure. Then there is no purity. So complete purity is when we only are one-pointedly focused to God and the only desire we have is God. Yukteswar ji, Paramhansa Yogananda ji's guru, he says that we cannot take one step one step ahead in the spiritual path without awakening the natural love of our heart. And what is this natural love of our heart? So Yogananda ji says that always say to yourself and see yourself as a soul. Not this body, not ego, but as a soul. And as a soul, the only thing the soul wants is to merge back into God, because the soul has come from God and the only thing he wants is to merge back into God. So the natural love of our heart is actually one-pointedly God. But the body has these cravings, a lot of cravings that, the needs and all. The soul does not need that. And if we awaken this natural love of our heart, then yes, we can move ahead. We can uplift our consciousness to that level that we can see God and we can have a vision. And I would like to end with these words from Whispers from Eternity. This is a prayer demand by Paramhansa Yogananda ji, and here he says, demand for opening of the spiritual eye to find God in everything. My eyes are enthralled, O Father, with the beauty of earthly flowers, with life's passing scenes, and with the sailing silent clouds. Everywhere, all I see hints at thy hidden presence. Open that eye in me, which sees only thee. With that gaze may I behold thee, above, beneath, all around, within me and outside me. Teach me in all things to see only thee. Open in me that eye which beholds everywhere thy hidden but ever subtly reigning wonder. Om.
I'd like to also share a few things. I'll start with the story of Trilanga Swami. You might remember reading his extraordinary stories in Autobiography of a Yogi. He was the saint who lived in Varanasi around the same time as the Hiri Mahashaya, but he was born much earlier. It was said that he lived more than 200 years. Anyway, a certain disciple of his was begging him to give a vision of the Divine Mother. Again and again, he was begging him. And one day, finally, when they were sitting together in one of the rooms in his ashram, Trilanga Swami said, well, the Divine Mother says she will give you a vision today. And the door opened, and there was a statue of Kali in the next room. So she walked in to the room, sat down, chatted with them. So this disciple is so thrilled. And then she stood up, she went away, walked out, back to the original position in the next room, and the door closed. Then Trilanga Swami said, now, what have you got? So what he was saying was, yes, it was a thrilling, wonderful experience to have that vision or this experience, but has it changed you? Let's say, even for us, in meditation, you might see the spiritual eye or a fragment of it, or you might hear the sound of Om or the sound of the chakras. And you get excited, you enjoy it. And then you expect to see it again. And what happens in the next meditation? It may not come. And then you feel disappointed and think, okay, maybe I'm not doing right. This meditation was a failure. But we need to remember that what is more important than the sound or the vision? What is more important is if or how that experience changes you, changes your consciousness at the deep level. Does it affect your life? Does it change how you look at life? Nayaswami Jaya, he's one of the oldest members of Ananda, and he served for many years as a spiritual director of Ananda India. He's now back in California, in Ananda Village. A very wise, even-minded and cheerful yogi. So once someone asked him, "You've been on the spiritual path for many years. What power, what siddhi have you got?" So this person was expecting some, special vision, sound, or maybe materializing something. And Jayaji said, "Well, I don't have any of this, but I have the power to choose to be happy." And isn't this the power that changes our life on a day-to-day basis? And God comes to us in many ways and transforms us by awakening divine qualities within us and eventually ultimately taking us to be able to commune with God, to become one with God. The vision, the sound, that might also come as a result, but that's not the goal. And in whatever way God chooses to come to us, but in order for that to happen, He demands He demands one thing from us. In the new path, Swami Kriyananda narrated the time when Yoganandaji had a vision of the Divine Mother during Christmas meditation. He spoke to her out loud so that those who are present can also hear the conversation, at least one side of the conversation. So it goes, "Oh, you are so beautiful." He repeated again and again. But then at last he cried out, "Don't go, Divine Mother. You say the material desires of these people are driving you away? Please don't go." But she went. But imagine, those who were present were the monks and nuns who've been meditating for many years, and yet Divine Mother was not satisfied. Christ said, "No one can serve two masters." That is to say, God and the material desires. In the Bible, God is also described sometimes as jealous God. Jealous not in a sense as we humans would imagine. It means that God is absolutely single in His love for us. His love is unconditional. And whatever we do or whatever we don't do, His love for us doesn't change. He loves us anyway. And God expects us to do the same to Him. He would say, "If you love me, but also love other things, then that means you're not ready. I'm not able to come to you yet." He says, "I give myself totally to you. You give yourself totally to me." When we first start, our meditation practice, I'm sure many of us started because we wanted something. I want peace of mind. I want to be efficient in my work, or I want to improve my personal relationship. I want to know the answer to the question, what is this life? What's the meaning of this life? All these expectations we have. But as you become more committed in the spiritual life, it starts changing. You meditate, you serve because you love God, because you want to offer your love and devotion to God. And so the relationship with God, might start from, what can you give me? What can I get? To, what can I give to you, God? And slowly and steadily we move forward, and to the point where we can say that I give you all I am, all I have. And that's what God wants from us. And it's not about outward, material level. It's of the heart. God wants us to give Him everything. Not only just love and devotion, but also our limitations. Those desires, attachments, limiting thoughts, emotions, maybe fear, anxiety, even pride. There is a story of Saint Francis from Italy. Yogananda called him as his patron saint. But it means Saint Francis was a great lover of God and Christ, but he still had some fear. He was afraid of lepers, because that time in Europe, leprosy was common. And one day, when he was on the road, he saw a leper coming toward him. And his first instinct was to turn around and run away. But he stopped. He gathered his courage, looked at him, and even walked toward him and hugged and kissed him. Then the leper turned into Christ. So this story I thought it's illustrative of what God wants from us. Whatever it is that binds us to the littleness, to the ego, fear in this case, we have to let it go first before we can see God, before He can come to us. And it's not a one-time thing. We have to keep doing it again and again. And every time we release a little bit of that littleness and create, so that we can create a room for God to come into our hearts. Swami Kriyananda said, the way to find your freedom is to have the strong flow of devotion, or divine love, he said, because that strong flow will carry everything toward God. I'll end with these words by another Christian saint, Saint Teresa of Avila, as our constant aspiration and also the reality. She said, I gave all my heart to the Lord, and my life is so completely transformed. Joy to you.